In a jaw-dropping revelation that has sent shockwaves through the tech world, Palantir Technologies is making headlines once again for its impressive market performance and its very strategic alliance and seizure of opportunity from Nvidia, as the AI behemoth deals with legal troubles that plunged its stock and the market down with it. Palantir positions itself among the top echelon of tech behemoths, with every analyst swearing up and down by it. Joe Lonsdale, co-founder of Palantir, sparked a fiery debate about the unchecked power of big tech, accusing many leading companies of monopolistic tendencies, including Google and Nvidia. Yet, amidst this controversy, Palantir is blazing a new trail, bolstered by a lucrative partnership with Microsoft and impressive financial growth statistics. But just how much potential does Palantir hold for savvy investors? Let's dive in and dissect this emerging giant in the tech industry. Welcome back to Investocracy.
We've had a heck of a week in the markets. I know you play in the private markets, but all of these things are interrelated, and I'm sort of curious just how you think our economy and which way our economy is moving at this point.
Well, you know, Andrew, it was fun to see the Palantir earnings right after 2 days of the markets all falling apart, kind of saying, by the way, guys, this AI stuff's actually working. We're actually growing really fast. And it felt like it turned things around a little bit. I mean, listen, I think a lot of the volatility this week was tied to things like Japanese banks, which obviously are an important part of the global economy. But, you know, the story here in the U.S. is that our companies are working, our innovation economy is growing really quickly. So we may be facing some macro headwinds, but the AI stuff's real.
Well, so that was the question. Palantir has made this work. The question is that idiosyncratic, which is to say, is there something special going on at Palantir that may not be going on across the industry, or do you think that there actually is more meaningful legs to this? You saw the Goldman Sachs report probably in the past week where they suggested maybe actually that we're not going to get the kind of sort of growth gains out of AI, at least immediately, than some people had anticipated.
Yeah, I don't think this is happening immediately. I think if you talk to people like Sam Altman and OpenAI and others, it's like we've in a sense, we've failed so far because it's not impacting the entire economy right away. Now, that said, you know, the services industry in the U.S. is about $4.5 trillion in wages. Probably about a third of that can be addressed and be made more productive with AI and higher productivity. So it makes all of us wealthier. We're seeing things like in healthcare billing, logistics billing, the back end, you know, TPA processes and insurance. We're seeing this in private companies get to be a lot more productive. We're tripling, quadrupling the productivity. That's not going to happen where it scales out to the whole economy overnight. But listen, if we're back here and it's 2027, 2028, and we're not seeing that in productivity statistics, I'll be really surprised.
In a world where numbers often speak louder than opinions, Palantir's latest financial report is a veritable symphony. The company recorded a staggering 27% year-over-year surge in its second quarter revenue, driven by an even more jaw-dropping 55% increase in U.S. commercial revenue. They have certainly took the shining opportunity to position itself as a stock that will soar through even if Nvidia is taking down the market when it received a subpoena from the Department of Justice. Their customer base swelled by 41%, painting a picture of a firm that is not just surviving, but thriving in its data-centric domain. The stock closed Thursday at $29.28, up by 11.25%, with an additional after-hours boost to $29.69. Clearly, Palantir is defying expectations at every turn. And it makes sense since they made all the right connections with the government contracts and secured their place in the AI revolution without having to 100% rely on Nvidia. Even though it took a hit recently with Nvidia's momentary downfall, just like almost every other tech or AI company, it seems like all projections are only pointing upwards for this company. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Palantir's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates.
Take a look at shares of Nvidia after hours. The company reportedly getting a subpoena from the Justice Department as part of an escalating antitrust investigation. That's according to Bloomberg. The DOJ also sending subpoenas to third parties, and antitrust officials appear to be concerned that Nvidia is making it harder for its customers to switch suppliers. Dan Howley, we have you here as well. According to Bloomberg, here's how they phrase it, Dan. They say antitrust officials are concerned that Nvidia is making it harder to switch to other suppliers and penalizes buyers that don't exclusively use its AI chips.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think has been bubbling under the surface of the huge AI explosion is Nvidia. I mean, the estimates are anywhere between, I think, 80 and 95% of the market for AI chips. That's going to draw some attention, especially with, I mean, 89.5% is wild. And it's a large part of that, to their credit, is that they had invested in this a long time ago. They started building this out.
And how many times have we had folks on the show who say how far ahead Jensen Huang still is because he provides the chips, the software, the networking?
Yeah, and it's that part, the software, that I think is what people are looking at. You know, there's a discussion about how Nvidia will see which companies are able to take its products now and start implementing them now into the data center. And I think that's something that officials are looking at and saying, you know, is this something that's good? Is it something that's bad? The other thing is the software and the lock-in. So they're building, companies are building on NVIDIA's CUDA software. Is that locking them in, kind of ensuring that they can't necessarily go somewhere else? Because, well, you've already put all your money into building on CUDA. Does that mean you're not going to want to go to AMD, or you're not going to want to go to Intel? So I think those are some of the big questions that these officials have. NVIDIA has said, look, there's nothing to see here. We're just you know, doing good because we invested early, and that's just the name of the game. We put all this money in already, and so now we're reaping the rewards because now people are starting to buy up AI chips. So, you know, I think it's going to take a while for anything along these lines to get here. I mean, we had heard murmurs about Google, you know, years ago, right? And then there was the suit finally came out. And
Lonsdale's comments on big tech monopolies might have ruffled some feathers, but it's hard to argue with his point on the necessity for regulations. On the same day, he criticized Alphabet Inc. and Nvidia regarding antitrust rulings. Palantir unveiled a strengthened partnership with Microsoft to enhance AI and analytics for the U.S. defense and intelligence community. Already, Palantir's stock has risen over 83.34% in 2024 alone, suggesting a rosy horizon for the company. But what's driving this rapid growth? Look no further than the solid financials. Palantir ended fiscal 2023 with $3.7 billion in cash and liquid investments and zero debt. In an age where many companies are leveraged to the hilt, Palantir's cash-rich position is a major vote of confidence for investors. Notably, the company achieved profitability for the first time in its 20-year history in 2023, even amidst the turbulence of a year-long bear market. Adding to this rock-solid financial foundation is Palantir's diverse platform offerings. The company is not a one-trick pony. From its AIP, which integrates AI into business operations, to Foundry, Gotham, and a more modular approach to sales, Palantir is setting itself up as a multifaceted player. This strategic diversification means that it isn't pinning its hopes on a single product, but rather adopting a holistic, adaptable approach to meet various market demands. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
I want to move towards politics, but I want to start with policy first. Curious what your reaction was to the judge's decision against Google this week, effectively calling it a monopoly.
You know, I've been on this for a long time of little tech versus big tech, as Mark Andreessen said really well recently. I'm a fighter for little tech. I'm a fighter for the innovation economy. I think a lot of these big tech companies have become not only kind of slow and ideologically corrupted. I think they're basically monopolies. I think that's right. And so the question is, you know, what are we going to allow monopolies to do in our society? How much can they abuse their power? If something is affecting hundreds of millions of people, if tons of these things are tied into it, we probably need some rules around it. I'm not against even going so far as to break some of them up.
The U.S. government remains Palantir's biggest client, further cementing its stable revenue streams. Their recent contracts with the U.S. intelligence community and the Department of Defense highlight Palantir's integral role in national security. And let's not forget their high-stakes partnerships in space technology with Voyager Space and Starlab Space, marking a new frontier for the company. When we look at price targets and market forecasts, Palantir's one-year median price target stands at $27 with a predicted revenue growth, CAGR, of 26%. Analysts from 24/7 Wall Street even see the stock rising to $31 in 2025, $35 in 2026, and a whopping 57 by 2029. It's compelling data-backed proof that Palantir is well poised for substantial long-term gains. Palantir saw the storm that was coming with Nvidia, took the hit, and is now looking to soar through, while every other AI-dependent company continues to wallow away.
So what I'd say is I'm not against being tough on big tech. I am against breaking principles, and I am against being radical. The Lena Khan lady, she's a total radical, right? She's not respected by her staff. She's a bully. She's randomly stopping deals. She's trying to apply theories that the courts have consistently struck down. She's going to companies like Axon, which makes Taser, and for a tiny little under 10 million acquisition that worked out, trying to make them clone their entire company. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's this totally anti-capitalist, totally against companies in general. That's not what the FTC is supposed to be about. I'm on the side of holding big tech accountable. I'm not on the side of kind of radical regulators who are against companies in general. Like it's insane what these people are doing.
So, is Palantir Technologies the golden ticket for investors eyeing the big data space? Given its robust financial health, strategic partnerships, and exponential growth rate, betting on Palantir seems more like a strategic move than a roll of the dice. The stock is trading significantly above its IPO price, and with financial forecasts predicting continued upward momentum even with the recent hit, now might be the time to consider adding Palantir to your portfolio. Currently priced at approximately $29.28, Palantir is considered one of the top contenders in the big data and AI industry. Its impressive revenue growth, strategic alliances, and significant government contracts make it a potentially lucrative investment. Long-term projections suggest the stock could climb as high as $64 by 2030, representing an astonishing 103.30% upside from today's price. But what about you? Do you see Palantir as a must-have in your investment portfolio, or do you have reservations? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's get the conversation started. Let's see where this exciting saga takes us next. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Palantir have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen.